Hi there guys. So here I am rocking away over one of the 4 backing tracks that I uploaded during the last 7 days or something. And it's gonna be a lot of fun because I haven't really been playing over these tracks yet. I've just been working very hard on producing them. So I'll basically find out whether they're jam friendly or not today. I think they are. This one started out well. I think I'm going to raise my guitar level a little bit. Raise the backing a little bit. Paul, what's up? So if you're wondering, this backing track is in G minor. Got something in my eye there. And that means I'm playing in G Aeolian, G minor, or G minor pentatonic. And a little bit of G harmonic minor. Those are my most common go-to scales. YouTube Cars, what's up? Nice picking, man. Thank you, Logan. Here's some picking for you. That's right, Paul. I'm improvising here. Sorry, don't know any seed mods and I don't know any Avenged Sevenfold. So if you want to give this a shot in G minor, the backing track is called Ambient Cinematic Rock. Backing track in G minor. Salut to your guitar skill. What's up? Can you play the ping pong? Oh, sorry, don't know that. So, yeah, like I said, I recorded a whole bunch of them. So let's try another one. This is in D minor. This pick, this is a chicken picks pick. Can you tell? They sent me 2 different ones. this one's called Badass, and the other one I can't remember, but it has 3 sides. I use both of them extensively now. They're actually really cool. They have this beveling, and they sound brighter than many of my other picks. So let's see. Rizzy, what can I help you with? Depends what it is. Solar guitars are cool. This has Evertune. In all honesty, I don't really need the Evertune in my studio. I think it would be easier with a regular one because I like to down tune the guitar. But the guitar is so good playing wise, I can't stop playing it for this shreddy stuff. Rizzy, I can't help you become famous because I don't know how to do it myself. I never was very interested in becoming famous. For me, it was always about just playing the guitar. We got my man Sori here. What's up? So there we go. Pretty cool. So this was I think this was the ambient cinematic rock. Now let's try ethereal metal backing track in D minor. You're really good. Thank you, Misker. Sorry, don't know through fire and flames. So let's try this one. This is in D minor. Yngwie, yeah, I have some Yngwie inspiration for sure. I don't know any Avenged Sevenfold. A lot of the picking stuff I do is a mix between legato and picking, and I really got that from Yngwie, you know, where you don't necessarily pick every note like this, but you rather do like, it sounds almost the same, but it's much easier to play when you combine legato and picking. So in other words, legato and picking. Alright. What amplifiers and pedals do I use? So right now I'm using the whoops like this. I'm using the Mesa Boogie Mark V amp on the overdrive channel, the Mark 1 mode. Let's see if we can zoom in on that. I don't think we can, but there it is. And I'm using, I'm not using all these pedals. I'm only using this one, the Friedman, and then I use the white delay pedal and a little bit of reverb. So only 3 pedals right now, but here's some of my pedals. And sorry for the mess. Just never had the time to clean up. I've been recording like a madman this week, so I put up four backing tracks on my channel. That's where I spent my time, not tidying my room. I know I should. Which one goes to 11? I think most of them do. to be honest. It can get very loud. Lots of requests there, but I stopped playing songs and doing the rock and roll thing a long time ago. It just doesn't inspire me. The only thing that keeps me playing, like keeps me interested in the guitar, is, you know, do my thing where I just improvise and write my backing tracks and just jam away. You know, I'm sorry I can't play your request. I wish I could, but I haven't done that for ages. So here we go. Playing with my volume knob now, so check my right hand here. So someone requested an Eric Johnson, the Cliffs of Dover thing. I don't know that, but this is definitely Eric Johnson style. Those tune-up string pentatonic. Federal State Prison. What's up, my man? Thanks for sharing that info about the amps and stuff. No problem, mate. So I've covered 2 of the backing tracks I uploaded. Now this one is a little bit different, because I experimented going with 2 completely different styles. So if you don't like the beginning of this, just wait for, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds or something until the next part comes, because it's very different. Let's try it. A harmonic minor or A minor. So it kind of goes back and forth. I don't know if you could hear it very well. I think we'll try again with raise the levels a little bit. But I tried doing this lo-fi to more of a symphonic metal thing. Pretty new to me. Pick I'm using is from Chicken Picks. This one is called Badass. It's a take on the Jazz 3, but it's a beveled and it's a very stiff plastic and bright plastic. Okay, check it out. I'm me. That's the most important thing. Be yourself, and I try to do that. bonsoir, comment tu vas? Je vais très bien, merci beaucoup. J'espère que vous allez bien aussi. So I'm using a crybaby wah-wah, exactly, but I'm not using any volume pedals or anything like that. I'm using no chorus, only a little bit of reverb, but lots of delay, so you can hear it. A little bit of delay at least. It goes on for a while. Yeah, picking style. So actually there are some similarities to banjo picking because I like to do hybrid picking. So in other words, use the pick in combination with my fingers. So if you look at my right hand, I don't know if you can see that. This is an experiment. Oh man, it's the wrong part of the guitar. I'm gonna hold it like that. So here you have it. This is what I'm doing. So a lot of the faster stuff, I use a lot of hybrid picking in there, and that's definitely a banjo similarities with, you know, banjo style picking. And it's just helpful. I use it for legato as well, you know. Now you can see it. And like I said, for legato stuff, I do I lost myself there. But if you want to give this a shot, I'm sure you'll do better. The backing track is called Lo-Fi to Symphonic Metal. Cyanide, don't know it. The up down. Cool, Jason. So you did a similar thing on the banjo then. That's awesome, man. Pentatonic box for sure. I use it a lot. So yellow bass guitar. Anytime I do this kind of fast run, that's pentatonic based. Anytime I play like a rock or blues lick, it's very often in the pentatonic scale. So A minor in this case. So which scale is best to use with chromaticism? That's a really cool question. So I don't think there's a scale that's better to use with chromaticism unless we're speaking like if you're playing jazz over like a dominant chord, where you would very often throw play all these altered scales or just altered notes, basically outside notes, notes that are close to the chord notes, like one half step below or above. That's the jazz thing, right? And there are lots of scale shapes to help you visualize that, but you don't need to think in terms of altered dominant or something like that. So in those cases, maybe chromatic can work a little extra well, but I think that for what I do, which isn't really jazz-based, chromatics can be used anywhere as spice. But the trick is to just lightly touch them. It's a bit like you have, well, if you're cooking, right, and you have something very spicy like chili or something. You wouldn't throw the whole thing in the mix, right? You would just use a little bit to get that extra bite, and that's the same principle as with playing with chromatics. So if I were to play chromatics here, I would just lightly touch upon it. Check it out. One like that maybe, or... So I don't know if you could tell, you probably couldn't, but a lot of the faster runs there, like this, that was chromatic, right? So I basically weave those chromatics in between the more melodic licks. And that's a great way to do it, I think, because you get that contrast, or that call and response, or that tension and release, basically, when you're doing, right? Sounds kind of horrible if you play it slowly. It's really a fast thing. Cool. I get some kind of member. Oh, Jason, welcome to Chris Guitar Universe. Man, you're supporting me. Thanks so much, man. Means the world. So cool question there about chromatics. It's a lot of fun. And if you want to start playing chromatics, you can do it. The thing is, the faster you can play, the more consecutive notes you can play with chromatics. But even if you can't play fast, you can still throw in one or two chromatic notes, and we tend to refer to them as passing notes when you're just adding one or two bad notes in between the good ones. And I can show you that as well. Good notes, but I could add one bad note and it works. If you're careful. I mean, it's all a matter of, you gotta kind of try to feel when it's too much, and basically that's why we need to practice. It's very easy to overdo anything you're learning, right? It's easy to overdo it, and I would say with chromatics, it's a little bit extra easy to do it. So as always, apply caution and try to, do it with feeling. I know that's a cliche thing, but it's really a matter of playing stuff that makes sense to you. Even if you play someone else's chromatic licks that work when they play it, if you play it and it doesn't work for you, you don't think it sounds good, those outside notes, then they're not good for you. You really have to kind of connect with whatever you're practicing. Otherwise, it's not material for you. Yeah, practice makes perfection, exactly. So pinch harmonics, let's try it. So if you don't know what that is, it's those high-pitched screams. We can do some. Cool, Jason. For the short time you've seen me and heard me, you've joined the member ranks. Thanks so much, man. So what Jason just did means the world. Basically, he became my member, and that gives you access to all the tabs and all that cool stuff. And if you want to learn these licks, they're all tabbed for you. But thanks a lot, Jason. It means the world. I hope we can meet often in my live streams here. I will play some exercise over here when my fingers and nerves cooperate. You and my dad sound similar. That's awesome, man. So yeah, we spoke about pinch harmonics. How do you play pinch harmonics? So this is a string and you're picking. You would maybe hold the pick like this, right? But when you're playing pinch harmonics, you're gonna have to try to hold the pick so that the edge of the pick is very close to the thumb, because that allows you to touch the string with your thumb as you're striking it. That's really the essence of it. You gotta kind of search for your pinch harmonics and see where they are. It's a good idea to start maybe in the 7th fret G string. See if you can get a good pinch harmonic. And what I see a lot of people miss there, even when they find the harmonic, they kind of forget to do something with it. And a harmonic doesn't really sound good on its own, you know? No fun. You gotta give it a good shake. So once you get that pinch harmonic, you have to give it some vibrato. And what I found is a lot of people are maybe trying to play pinch harmonics before they actually can bend a note and do vibrato. If that's the case, you can't really make use of the pinch harmonic once you found it. So maybe if you think you're struggling with pinch harmonics, maybe you're already able to play decent pinch harmonics, but you can't give it a good shake, so it doesn't sound as cool. Interesting question there. I've been learning to play with a looper and have been learning to play over basic riffs, but it sounds repetitive. Do you have any tips to spice it up? Okay, that's a cool question. So I think in general, it's a really good idea to play over loops or backing tracks. You know, any backing track that inspires you is good, or just play over your favorite songs if you can find sort of the space in them. Sometimes that can be a little bit overwhelming, and if that's the case, just find a backing track without any vocals. But anyhow, that's a very good idea. I've done a lot of that. It depends a little bit where you are in your practicing phase. If you're just starting out, it might be a good idea to learn riffs and licks and solos first before you get some input before you want to start outputting. But if you've been playing for a while, then I think putting the stuff together over backing tracks, basically all the exercises and licks and all that stuff which you spend time with, but still you're not really able to play cool music with it. If that's the case, then jamming over backing tracks is going to be your best friend. And over backing tracks, it's super important be at like your comfort speed or push your comfort speed. Because then you're only gonna fall back to the licks you already know. And playing trying to avoid that because, I sound the same, but the licks they know really well too fast. Because if they played it slower, they would quickly find variations of those licks that they've spent so much time practicing. And if you can find a variation on a lick that you already know, then you're just maybe a few minutes away from knowing a new lick. So this is really key. You can't be afraid of repeating the licks you already know. What you gotta be afraid of is repeating them at a really high tempo just to feel good about yourself. Because if you do that, you're never gonna evolve those licks. So the lesson to be learned is don't be afraid of being repetitive. It just means you have some stuff that you can play and that you master. But be afraid of repeating yourself at a too high tempo where you can't come up with variations. So next time you jam over backing track, don't play your, if that's, you know, if you play the same thing over and over. Instead, how can I come up with a variation? Or even if it's like some faster stuff, just play it a bit slower. Maybe you can. Maybe you can come up with a variation just by slowing it down, and then you're going to discover, well, I could change a note here and there. I could maybe increase the stretch. I could maybe change the rhythm or something. So I think if you're careful about not playing too fast, then you can really evolve just by playing over backing tracks. And you don't have to be so afraid of repeating yourself. Instead, be happy that you have some licks that you master. Play them slower, come up with variations, and this way you're going to be able to explore and learn new things much faster than if you try a completely new concept or lick. So I'm sure I've missed a lot of questions now. Let's see here. Yeah, that's a classic Parisian walkways. How do you even French? Bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao. My kids have been that tune on Spotify. It's a nice one. I can't do it though. Laura, I'm 43. Oh, I should have asked you to guess first. Damn it. I always do this mistake. Well, now I said it without any jokes. So you're gonna have to reveal your ages. So please share with me. Let's see if I'm oldest in here. How do you start learning to shred? That's a good question. So learning to shred, that's basically all about being comfortable with some higher tempo licks, some techniques that allow you to play faster. And in theory, it sounds kind of easy, right? We just have to find some exercise that involves those techniques and repeat it over and over. That's the old way of doing it. There's a little bit of truth to it, but it's just part of the truth. And if you only do that, you're basically making it much more difficult than it needs to be. Now, don't get me wrong, you still need an insane amount of work to get it right. But you have to, you don't want to spend unnecessary time working on the technique, or at least I wouldn't want to do that. I would want to be as efficient as possible so I can move on to jamming and that kind of thing. So, some of the things that hold people back when they're trying to learning to play fast. And there are millions of them, but I'm going to try to just say the biggest, the ones I think are the most common ones. Tension. People tense up because they think since the goal is to play fast, you really have to try to play fast all the time. And what happens if you try to play fast before you actually are capable of playing fast? Well, you tense up. It's a bit like you trying to learn some new sport and it's the first time and you're like, oh, go all in, you tense up, and trust me, that doesn't work, whether it's a sport or whether it's an instrument you're trying to learn. So be relaxed, and the only way to be relaxed is to play way below your comfort speed. So in plain English, play freaking slowly. That's the number one thing. And the next thing you need to kind of speak about after having said that is just because when you play slowly, you don't have to be as efficient with your movements. So even, if your goal is to play or something, that's fast, right? So if your goal is to play that, but you're practicing slowly, well, you don't have to, you could play like this. It's the exact thing I did, but super slowly. Now the problem with that is, if you look at my right hand, there's a big movement, right? But when I played fast, did you see a big movement? You didn't, because the movement is much smaller, right? So I was doing... And when I practiced, I did. Now that doesn't work at all. You know, there's nothing wrong with big movements. They can be cool for getting different tones and attack and stuff like that. But if your goal is to play fast, what you have to do is, even though you realize you need to practice super slowly, you still have to try to replicate the movement your heroes are doing when they play fast. So if they look like this when playing fast, then you cannot look like this when practicing it slowly. Even though it's technically the same notes played slower, the techniques you're using to play those notes are not the same as the ones we need when playing fast. So you gotta try to get that smooth movement, that super small movement which you barely can see, and you have to try to be efficient with your fingering and your positioning. You know, you can play with one finger when you're playing slowly, but that you won't be able to do that with one finger. So you start using all your fingers as soon as possible. And I could go on forever, but those are two really important things when trying to play fast. Yeah, it's a huge topic. Åsa Nyberg, yes, there's probably some mirroring going on here. I'm not a lefty. It's the live stream. Thank you, Jason. Thank you. This guy is a monster on guitar. Thank you. Easily one of the best in my opinion. You're too kind, man. So I better make me say wow is here. Awesome. Ryu, it's very good. Thank you. How to improve phrasing. That's a really good one. So let's try improving our phrasing a little bit here. I'm gonna use the backing track I uploaded today, which is called Chill Moodscape in C minor. So I'm gonna phrase a little bit, and then we can speak a little bit about the things that hopefully go on in my head besides food and sleep. Cool, so that's in C. It doesn't really matter. You saw me play some fast stuff. That was not improvised. Those were like build-ups or just common patterns that I use. But what comes before and most importantly after the build-up, it's improvised and it's melodic. Now, I think phrasing, I would typically give the advice to do everything you can to avoid playing from your muscle memory. Now what that means is you don't want to play something and just have your fingers dictate where to go, because either your fingers are going to play the same lick you always play, or they're just going to randomly choose some notes from the key or the scale or any notes, and it won't sound that good. So before you move your fingers, something should happen in here, at least when you practice. Sometimes when you perform, and this is going to sound like a cliche, you want it to happen somewhere here before it goes into the fingers. But when you're practicing, and that's what you have to do before you can perform, you have to start with your head, right? And it's not as complicated as it sounds, because all you need to do is listen. If you want to be phrasing, you're probably playing over something like a song or a backing track. Cool, we got my man Doombook here, who's been with me for 4 months. You're the best, man. So, the only thing you have to do is to shut up. You don't have to play, right? You don't have to play. You just have to sit there and listen. And after a while, your fingers are gonna start itching. They wanna play something. And that's already a good start. But it can get even better. Your brain maybe can get a little idea. Oh, it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be innovative. It doesn't have to sound like something Guthrie Govan could play. It just has to start from here and go to here. That's how you practice it. So even if you're just thinking in terms of a simple rhythm, da 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 da, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Maybe you're thinking about a melody. That's also fine. All of these methods are good for phrasing because it starts with your head. If you get used to that, then what's going to happen is you're going to think, well, today I didn't have any ideas in my head. What the heck am I going to do? Well, you're going to start searching for ideas that, again, originate from here. You're going to get an idea coming in here, in your ear, and it's going to process, and then you're going to try to play it. And it basically sets you off for a totally different kind of strategy when practicing. You're going to think in terms of how can I borrow concepts as opposed to borrowing or stealing licks? Because with a concept, you can play 1,000 licks, right? A concept is much broader and I would argue much more useful than just learning someone's lick. I mean, learning a lick and understanding a lick and mastering it can open up doors, no doubt about it. But a concept is something that you can sometimes apply within hours or within minutes after you've understood the concept. Just to give you an example, there's a concept of imposing limitations on yourself. So if we're in C minor here, and I could tell myself I'm only allowed to play on one single string. That's a limitation. Okay, let's try that. Now, was that good? I don't know, but it was different. I didn't play my usual because I couldn't. I was only allowed to play on one string. And if you try that specific idea or concept of practicing with limitations, you're going to quickly find that that stuff immediately gives you new ideas. Plus, when you finally get to play over all the strings, it's like, whoa, I have so many options now. I had all those options even before I imposed a limitation on myself, but I just didn't realize how lucky I was to have all 6 strings. So this is a very powerful concept. And you know, you can start applying it now, you know, it doesn't have to be difficult. It's a bit like if you get sick, if you get really sick, and all you can think about is, oh, I wish I could get well again. And when you finally get well, you're like, oh man, everything is so good. That's the same principle as coming out of your limitation there. You realize, hey, I have so many options. And of course, there are a million different limitations you can impose on yourself. You could play using only double stops, you know, like. You could play using only string skipping, like. Whatever, you could play using only build-ups, so every note needs to have a. You could play using only arpeggios. Sorry. You could play only using, I don't know, pentatonics or something, you know. There's a million different ways you can impose limitations on yourself. You could do only upstrokes. That's an interesting one. And that it's horrible when you do it, but if you promise you, if you try that for only 5 minutes, man, you're going to get perspective on your normal playing. Plus, it's a very useful technical thing, because if you, even if you, if you're an alternate picker, well, honing in on just the upstroke can be a really efficient way to increase your overall speed. Maybe you haven't focused on the upstroke enough. Maybe you've been working so hard on your alternate picking that you haven't really thought about isolating the different movements. Whatever, you know. So that was a long one. I hope it makes sense. I don't even know what the question was. I think the question was about phrasing, right? I don't remember. That's a problem. It usually means you're on the wrong side of 40 when you're answering your question for like 10 minutes and then you can't remember what the question was. Oh man, I'm so happy you guys are still with me. 93 people. I don't feel that I deserve it. It must have been the phrasing question. Let's say it was the phrasing question I answered. Okay, so can you please tell us about the right position for thumb placement? Because some people says thumb should be on the middle of the neck. Okay, very, very good question. Here's the deal. There are no right and wrongs, but that's not true. Because you can do both. You can both have the thumb on top and you can have the thumb down here, and there it can be right. Because it depends what the context is. For example, if I'm stretching like this, whatever, there's no way I could play that without dropping the thumb. But I hate dropping the thumb because this posture is not very relaxed. So if you play like this for more than, well, for me, it's more than 5 minutes, then I start developing shoulder pain and whatnot, at least if it's something intense. In general, I avoid this grip like the plague, and I much rather have this bluesy grip like this. So what I do is I revert back to this position whenever I can, which means a lot of the non-stretchy licks, sometimes even like sweeping and stuff like that, like this. And for bending and stuff like that, it's just very good. Now, so what you're gonna have to get used to, at least if you wanna cover the stuff or the style I'm playing here, is to move between these two. You're gonna have to adapt depending on what you're playing. And the general rule is that whenever you're stretching or whenever you wanna reach stuff on the low E string, you're gonna have to kind of drop your thumb. But whenever you're bending and whenever you just wanna be relaxed, you're playing something that's simpler, then I would definitely rest my thumb up here. You know, you can. Cool. So I unfortunately have to end the stream now. There's a teenage party going on, and my daughter is organizing it, and I think they want some help going back to the bus station. So I'm going to help them with that. But it's been very cool hanging out with you guys. You guys are the absolute best, and you asked a lot of interesting questions today, which I think makes these live streams a million times better. So please keep those questions coming. They are the best. So I hope you're gonna stay tuned and practice hard until next time. You've been wonderful, and I've been Christopher Dahl. See ya. Cheers.